big because of Friedrich Nietzsche.
In the autumn of 1888, the German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche experienced an unusual incident while walking back to his guest house in Turin, Italy. He described how his face uncontrollably twisted into smiles and tears, as if pulled by an unseen force. For Nietzsche, then 44 years old, these involuntary fits of laughter signaled the beginning of something serious. Over the following week, other guests noticed that he remained in his room for extended periods. Peeking inside, they saw the author of Thus Spoke Zarathustra naked, playing the piano and dancing erratically. Nietzsche's mental state deteriorated rapidly, reaching a crisis in January 1889. Witnessing a horse being whipped in the town square, he ran to the animal, embraced it, and then collapsed. His friend Franz Overbeck visited him shortly thereafter, finding Nietzsche ensnared in a delusion from which he never emerged. Overbeck noted that while Nietzsche recognized him and others, he was confused about his own identity. He would occasionally murmur profound thoughts, but also made unsettling claims about being the successor to a dead god, all while intermittently playing the piano.
80.
The influence of Nietzsche on philosophers since his day has been prodigious, but he's also influenced creative writers, including some of the most eminent in the English language.
Today, Nietzsche's mental breakdown, which led to partial paralysis and an early death, is as notorious as his philosophical contributions. Just as people ponder why Vincent van Gogh severed his ear, they question why Nietzsche lost his sanity. Was it due to a physiological condition, or is the answer hidden within his influential texts? Friedrich Nietzsche's mental collapse might have been driven by an underlying illness, but which one? Early diagnoses pointed to syphilis, which can lead to both paralysis and dementia. Later assessments speculated that he might have had a tumor pressing on his right optic nerve, leading to similar issues. Although the exact cause of Nietzsche's breakdown remains elusive, his history of physical and psychological ailments is well documented. Nietzsche suffered from severe migraines since childhood. At 26, he contracted dysentery and treated it with chloral hydrate, a potent sedative known for causing hallucinations, convulsions, and heart problems. The philosopher's enduring pain exacted a heavy toll. In a letter, he confessed, "Every couple of months I endure about 36 hours in bed, in true torment. By evening, any pleasure in life is drained, and I'm constantly surprised by how hard it is to keep going. It hardly seems worth all this suffering." In addition to his physical ailments, Nietzsche faced isolation and a lack of recognition. He achieved fame only posthumously, and during his life he often felt unseen and unloved. He wrote, "It pains me immensely that in these 15 years no one has discovered me, needed me, or loved me." Another letter highlighted his loneliness. "How rarely do I hear a friendly voice. I'm now absurdly alone." Believing he had inherited these afflictions from his frail father, Nietzsche resigned himself to the idea of an early, painful death. He frequently worried about losing his sanity, fearing he might become lost within his own complex thoughts. "At times I sense that I am living a very dangerous life, like one of those machines that could explode at any moment." Nietzsche's struggles were not unique among creative minds. Figures like Van Gogh and Mozart also faced severe psychological issues despite their significant contributions. The unfortunate destinies of these mad geniuses have spurred research into the connection between creativity, intelligence, and mental illness. Despite extensive study, this link remains elusive. Research shows that creative individuals are more likely to experience depression and anxiety compared to the general population. However, these symptoms vary by field, with poets and writers more affected than scientists.
3 left, 70.
Binswanger's hypothesis that Nietzsche's mental collapse was a logical consequence of his philosophical pursuits, rather than a mere biological mishap, is perhaps the most intriguing aspect of this discussion. Although this theory is speculative and not verifiable, it offers a fascinating perspective. Those familiar with Nietzsche know that suffering is a central theme in his writings. His idea is encapsulated in his famous quote, "What does not kill me makes me stronger." Even in his madness, Nietzsche was aware of his surroundings and the people around him. It was his own identity, his former self, that he could no longer grasp, remaining in darkness about.
I'm doing just fine. I just, you know, there's no meaning to any of this. So I wanted to find the most meaningless thing that I could come to and join, and here I am.
Friedrich Nietzsche's journey into the depths of his own mind offers a haunting glimpse into the dangers of unbridled intellectual pursuit. His life, marked by profound philosophical insights and a tragic descent into madness, serves as a cautionary tale for anyone striving to navigate the complexities of the modern world. The lessons we can draw from Nietzsche's life are invaluable, guiding us on how to maintain our sanity amidst the chaos of contemporary life. Nietzsche's unyielding dedication to his philosophical pursuits was both his greatest strength and his ultimate downfall. His passion for uncovering profound truths drove him to the heights of intellectual achievement. Yet it also led him into the abyss of mental breakdown. This duality underscores the importance of balance. Passion, when left unchecked, can consume us. It is essential to temper our drive with moments of rest and self-care. Without this balance, we risk burning out and losing touch with the very passions that drive us. The concept of balance extends beyond self-care to our sense of reality. Nietzsche's identification with a new god reflects the peril of losing one's grounding in reality. Ambition and self-confidence are crucial, but they must be anchored in a realistic understanding of our limitations and the world around us. In the modern world, where the lines between reality and illusion often blur, cultivating humility and self-awareness is vital. Isolation was a significant factor in Nietzsche's mental decline. He often felt misunderstood and disconnected, which only deepened his existential despair. In today's interconnected world, the paradox of feeling alone in a crowd is all too common. As social beings, our connections with others provide us with emotional support and a sense of belonging. Actively nurturing relationships that offer mutual support and understanding is crucial. These connections serve as a lifeline, grounding us and providing the strength needed to face life's challenges. The modern world's complexity demands that we find and maintain these vital social bonds. Nietzsche revered the growth that comes from suffering, yet he struggled to acknowledge his own vulnerabilities. True strength lies in recognizing when we need help and seeking it out. Whether through therapy, mentorship, or trusted friendships, acknowledging our need for support is a testament to our resilience. Deep introspection was Nietzsche's tool for profound insight, but it also contributed to his madness. Reflection is a vital component of personal growth, but it must be practiced with caution.
Information overload. There's obviously been an information explosion in this country. There are more people than ever generating more and more information, using newer and faster tools to process and transmit this stuff in overwhelming quantities.
In an age of information overload, setting boundaries for introspection is more important than ever. Techniques like mindfulness and meditation can help maintain a balance, allowing for deep reflection without descending into obsessive thought. Nietzsche's intense philosophical explorations were unmatched, yet they consumed him. To avoid this fate, we must ground our intellectual pursuits in the practicalities of daily living. Engage in physical activities, hobbies, and social interactions that anchor your thoughts in reality. This holistic approach ensures that your philosophical endeavors enrich your life rather than dominate it. In the modern world, where the pace of life is relentless, finding this balance is key to maintaining sanity. Friedrich Nietzsche's life is a powerful reminder of the fine line between brilliance and madness. His insights into the human condition are profound, yet his personal struggles highlight the necessity of balance and self-care. By learning from Nietzsche's experiences, we can navigate the modern world with wisdom and caution. Strive for greatness, but remain grounded, connected, and aware of your own limitations. This balanced approach will help you maintain your sanity and thrive in an increasingly complex world. Thank you for joining me in this exploration of Nietzsche's life and philosophy. If you found this video thought-provoking, please like, subscribe, and share your reflections in the comments.
On the book circuit and talking and so on, then who will I be? I was resentful, I was tired.
So the question is, tell me who you are. So when I say to you, tell me who you are, what do you think?
Well, the only right answer I know to that question is that the question is much more important than the answer. Because any answer I give you will be limiting. I mean, I could say I'm a doctor, I'm a writer, I'm a husband, I'm a father, any of those are only aspects of who I am. So I'm just a person who's sitting here now hanging out with your question, that's who I am.
And why is that such an important question?
Because who we believe we are determines so much of our behavior and our reactions and perceptions and interactions. You know, whether it's in personal relationships, whether it's in politics and so on. So, if I'm comfortable not having a definitive answer and just being with whatever is happening at the moment, then I'm in the present. As soon as I define myself by any one of the categories of my existence, I'm limiting myself to that category, and that's going to limit my reactions. So, you know, we were talking about sports before. You know, if you define yourself as, say, a Manchester City fan, if that's who you are, that's going to determine a whole lot of your reactions. And you won't appreciate a lot of things that you might really appreciate if you didn't have that narrow definition of yourself. And in this culture, it's very much about, you know, tell me who you are. Well, I'm a doctor, I'm a plumber, I mean, you know, that's not who you are, that's what you do. You know, so we live in a society that limits us to all these categories. I think it's one of the sins of civilization.
So one of your most famous concepts, Gabriel, is around wholeness.
Yeah.
And how do we all develop this sense of wholeness? What are your tips on how we can do that then?
Well, actually, it's more like how we lose it in the first place. Because, I don't know if you guys are parents, but there's no one-day-old baby that likes wholeness. They're completely themselves. Whatever they experience, you're going to know about it. Whatever they feel, they're going to manifest it. Whatever they're meant to communicate, they're going to communicate it. So it's more a question of how do we lose that wholeness. And the English language is interesting that way because the word health itself derives from the Anglo-Saxon word for wholeness. So wholeness is the natural state of any creature. You know, no animal loses wholeness in their healthy environment. So the more fundamental question is not how do we get to wholeness, but how do we lose it? Understand that can help us get back to it.
So how do we lose it?
Into crest, 100.
One of the needs of the child, being brought up with human needs, and as defined by evolution, not as some arbitrary New Age conceptual framework, but just evolution. And so you might say that one need that we have, without which we couldn't live, is oxygen. Because we evolved in an oxygen-filled environment. If there was no oxygen, we wouldn't exist. So I say oxygen is an expectation, it's a need that we have. We also have emotional needs and expectations wired into us by evolution. And one of them is to be seen for who we are, to be accepted for who we are. That's just a need of the child. If that need is met, that child develops a sense of complete comfort with who they are, and presence and wholeness. However, in our society, and as a parent I can certainly say this, it's so difficult for parents to really see their kids for who they actually are without projecting our expectations on them for who they should be or how they should be, how they should show up, how they should behave. And so that we're not seeing the child for themselves, we're seeing the child through our own expectations and anxieties. The child is not seen for who they are, they don't see themselves. So they lose their connection to themselves. That's just how it works.
It seems such a hard thing, right, to get parenting right.
You know that famous poem by the British poet Philip Larkin about they fuck you up, your mom and dad do not mean to what they do, but you know they do not mean to what they do. Look, parenting has become far more complex and difficult than nature intended it. I just finished. There's a lot of research and literature on how Aboriginal tribal peoples parent their kids in much more healthy ways than we do today. And I just finished reading a book published maybe 40 years ago now called The Continuum Concept. It's an American model and writer who ends up in the Venezuelan jungle 6 weeks away from civilization with these Stone Age people. And these people, they hold their kids all the time and then put them down to sleep in a different room. They don't let them cry. Not that they forbid them to cry. The child doesn't have to cry to be picked up because the parents are with them all the time. And they don't judge and they don't berate, they don't punish their kids. And these kids grow up with an innate sense of their own goodness and their own wholeness. And of course, it's not, the parenting task is not forced upon isolated individual parents who both have to go to work and not see their kids the whole day. The kids are with the parents the whole day, and not just with their parents, other adults, other parenting figures. You know, it takes a village, as the African saying goes. Now, kids who grow up like that, they have a sense of their goodness, confidence in their bodies, connection to their environment, and a very positive sense of themselves. So, civilization, for all its advantages, of course, we can't go back to being Stone Age tribal peoples, but we've lost so much. And if only we could understand what we've lost and do what we can in today's society to bring back as much as we can. So that, you know, civilization, of course, all these achievements, scientific, technical, medical, cultural, whatever. But we've lost the plot when it comes to kids. And parents should need a lot more support. Parenting should be much more multi-generational, much more communal. Parents should be supported to be at home with their kids in the first months, for sure. Kindergartens and so on shouldn't be just about behavior and teaching of facts or skills. It should be about relationship, because human beings are relational creatures by nature. So we could do a whole lot better. You know, and it's not up to individual parents. It's a real social question.
Look, we all know the struggle of deciding what to eat, but what if I told you that Fuel can make that decision easier? Their Taster Bundle has got 8 ready-to-drink bottles, including their black. You go back to work as quickly as possible to show your kids what a work ethic looks like.
Esencialmente, podemos encontrar 1000 maneras de hacer nada. Madurar nunca es algo sencillo. Hace algunos años, cuando recién salí de la universidad, me encontraba completamente perdido en la vida. Ante mis ojos, el mundo entero estaba avanzando de una manera acelerada, pero yo estaba atascado en el mismo lugar. Veía a mis amigos convertirse en adultos independientes, algunos viajando lejos para comenzar una nueva vida en otro lugar, otros consiguiendo el trabajo que siempre quisieron, y unos cuantos más incluso formando una familia. Pero yo simplemente existía, sin poder conseguir absolutamente nada de esto, y sin siquiera saber cuál es el camino que se supone que debería de perseguir. Durante mucho tiempo, realmente nunca tuve una dirección. Hacía las cosas solo para no defraudar a los otros, pero nunca sentí como si eso fuera lo correcto. Con el paso del tiempo, obviamente la ansiedad comenzó a apoderarse de mis pensamientos. Todos los días sentía una enorme presión en el pecho, y durante esos momentos ni siquiera los videojuegos me servían para distraerme. Lo único en lo que podía pensar era en lo perdido y en lo confundido que estaba. Y esto es algo por lo que una gran cantidad de personas pasan en algún momento de sus vidas, especialmente a la hora de convertirse en adultos. Creo que, sin excepciones, a veces todos quisiéramos que las cosas pudieran simplemente mantenerse como estaban. Salir con nuestros amigos para divertirnos, pasar las noches con nuestras familias y vivir la vida sin demasiadas preocupaciones, solo disfrutando de los buenos momentos. Pero eso no siempre es posible. Porque una regla general del universo y sobre todo de la vida es que las cosas constantemente se encuentran cambiando. Eso es algo inevitable, aunque eso no significa que sea más sencillo de aceptar. Y esa es precisamente la temática de un pequeño juego independiente conocido como Nine the Woods. Un título que, al principio, nos cuenta la historia de una joven universitaria llamada May, la cual al inicio del juego regresa a su antiguo pueblo después de haber abandonado la universidad. Cuando comenzamos realmente no tenemos mucho contexto sobre esto. No sabemos por qué May decidió abandonar sus estudios, y de hecho nadie lo sabe, ni siquiera sus padres. Un día simplemente apareció de vuelta en su casa, y siempre que alguien intenta preguntarle algo al respecto, esta encuentra la manera de evitarlo, diciendo que no tiene ganas de hablar sobre eso. Lo único que sabemos con seguridad es que May es una persona bastante animada, pero más importante es que regresa a su hogar con la esperanza de, bueno, recuperar la vida que antes tenía, dejando los problemas en el pasado y volviendo a ser una adolescente. Pero la dura verdad con la que se encuentra al llegar a su pueblo es que el mundo que conocía es uno que ya no existe de la misma manera. Ahora sus amigos tienen trabajos, responsabilidades de adultos y bastantes planes para el futuro. Sus padres son mucho más viejos de lo que recordaba, a pesar de que solo estuvo 2 años en la universidad, e incluso se encuentran en serios problemas económicos. Y el pueblo por el que sentía tanta nostalgia, obviamente tuvo sus propios cambios también. El centro comercial que antes se encontraba repleto de gente, ahora está completamente vacío. Los restaurantes y otros locales comerciales que formaron parte de su infancia, desaparecieron en su totalidad. Y toda la gente del pueblo creció sin que ella pudiera notarlo. Ahora los niños se han convertido en los nuevos adolescentes, y las personas con las que May compartió su tiempo a lo largo de su vida han avanzado persiguiendo sus propios caminos, algunos con mejores resultados que otros. Pero esto es algo que se siente extremadamente real, porque creo que absolutamente todos, al menos en algún momento de nuestras vidas, hemos escuchado que los 20 son la mejor época que vamos a tener. Eres joven y el mundo se encuentra a tus pies, es lo que dicen. Pero lo que no muchas personas mencionan es lo complicado que esta etapa de la vida puede resultar. Porque estoy seguro de que cualquiera que haya pasado por esto estará de acuerdo en que la transición hacia la adultez, a pesar de sus buenos momentos, también está repleta de incertidumbre, dudas y ansiedad. Emociones sumamente desgastantes que fácilmente podrían llevar a alguien a tener un cierto rechazo a crecer, lo cual es bastante bastante divertido, porque una gran cantidad de personas durante su infancia, lo único con lo que pueden soñar es con ser grandes y libres. Pero al llegar a la adultez, se dan cuenta de que no es tan asombrosa como lo esperaban. Y ahora lo único que quieren es volver a ser niños de nuevo. Y son precisamente estos sentimientos los que exploramos durante toda la primera parte del juego, porque May representa justamente este estado de inmadurez. Mientras que sus amigos se preocupan por cosas como mudarse del pueblo o hacerse cargo de sus deberes, May solo quiere que todo se mantenga exactamente igual que como estaba. Pero al no encontrarse con eso, desarrolla esta sensación de que sus amigos han seguido adelante sin ella, dejándola atrás. Algo que obviamente la frustra, y es que es bastante difícil lidiar con esta sensación de que todos avanzan excepto por ti. Así que, en lugar de preocuparnos o siquiera pensar en el futuro de alguna manera, pasamos casi todo nuestro tiempo dentro del juego simplemente divagando. Sorpresivamente, la jugabilidad hace un gran trabajo para retratar este sentimiento de no tener dirección. De hecho, no hay objetivos dentro del juego aparte de conversar con las personas o saltar en los cables de luz para ver qué podemos encontrar. Lo único que realmente estaremos haciendo es caminar, o mejor dicho, deambular por el pueblo, buscando cualquier cosa que nos pueda servir de distracción. Mirar las estrellas, alimentar a un montón de ratas, hablar con un vagabundo o, por supuesto, visitar a nuestros amigos mientras están trabajando. Y de vez en cuando salir con ellos a divertirnos, a veces a comer a un restaurante o a veces simplemente a practicar con la banda. Esencialmente, podemos encontrar 1000 maneras de hacer nada, lo cual retrata muy bien la realidad de una persona que no tiene un camino definido. Porque cuando no tienes escuela, trabajo ni prácticamente nada para hacer, lo único que te queda es, bueno, buscar distraerte de cualquier manera posible. Porque de otra forma, la ansiedad de quedarte completamente solo con tus pensamientos rápidamente acabaría contigo, que es justamente lo que sucede con May. A pesar de que estas actividades podrían resultar muy relajantes al principio, sobre todo para nosotros como jugadores, es bastante evidente que May lo único que busca con ellas es escapar, retrasando el inevitable confrontamiento con el futuro. Algo sumamente interesante sobre el juego es que toda la aventura se desarrolla principalmente hacia la izquierda, es decir, constantemente nos encontramos caminando hacia atrás. Y tal vez pueda estar equivocado con esto, pero creo que esa es una decisión de diseño consciente y una que simboliza la dificultad de May para moverse hacia adelante. El único momento en el que podemos caminar hacia la derecha es durante la segunda mitad de la aventura, es decir, cuando nuestra protagonista comienza a confrontar sus propias inseguridades y cuando todos sus problemas comienzan a salir a la luz. Porque aunque el juego podría parecer bastante inocente al principio, sobre todo por su estilo visual, en realidad aborda una gran cantidad de temáticas sumamente importantes y sorpresivamente maduras. Por ejemplo, una de las primeras personas con las que podemos interactuar cuando comenzamos con la aventura es Selmer, una joven cuyo esposo la engañó con una chica en una gasolinera y ahora pasa sus días sentada en las escaleras escribiendo poesía y trabajando como niñera. Pero aún así, nuestras conversaciones con ella siempre son reconfortantemente positivas. También tenemos a este sujeto llamado Danny, el cual acaba de perder su trabajo y a lo largo de toda la historia podemos verlo saltando de un empleo a otro, cada vez más miserable que antes, justo como en la vida real. Y una de las mejores partes del juego es que cada uno de los personajes tiene alguna historia como esta, no importa qué tan secundario sea, lo cual hace que el pueblo se sienta como algo bastante real, como algo extremadamente sencillo de comprender y de sentirse relacionado. Porque las cosas por las que estos individuos atraviesan no son sobrenaturales ni nada parecido. Bueno, algunas sí son sobrenaturales, pero en su mayoría son situaciones por las que la gente pasa en la vida real. Un divorcio, la muerte de un hermano, la falta de motivación. En esta pequeña comunidad todos tienen sus propios problemas y todos lidian con ellos de la única manera en la que pueden. Pero la parte más interesante sobre Night in the Woods es que aborda todas estas temáticas sobre salud mental sin siquiera utilizar palabras como ansiedad o depresión. Es decir, integra estos temas de una manera tan natural dentro de su historia y dentro de sus personajes que honestamente a veces es incluso difícil notarlos. Y eso no es algo sencillo de lograr, porque en lugar de utilizar la psicología como una simple temática narrativa, el juego trata a los padecimientos mentales como lo que realmente son. Una parte cotidiana de la vida de las personas, algo con lo que simplemente deben vivir. Y esencialmente, con esto, nos da la oportunidad para explorar varios aspectos de la vida que rara vez son abordados en un videojuego. Y en retrospectiva, es casi como si cada personaje representara una condición en particular. Por ejemplo, tenemos a Bea, una de las mejores amigas de May cuando eran pequeñas, pero que ahora se muestra un tanto distante con ella. Esta representa el estereotipo clásico de una adolescente rebelde. Es sarcástica, siempre se viste de negro y constantemente la vemos fumando. A primera vista, muchos podrían considerarla como una mala persona. En varias instancias, de hecho, es bastante grosera con May, pero a través de las conversaciones que eventualmente tenemos con ella, poco a poco nos damos cuenta de que todos estos comportamientos tienen una razón. Bea siempre fue considerada como la mejor estudiante de su escuela. Su más grande sueño en la vida era ir a la universidad, pero justo antes de que eso pudiera pasar, su madre tristemente fallecería de cáncer. Esto llevaría a su padre a tener un colapso mental, y los gastos médicos serían tan grandes que ambos se verían obligados a vender su casa para mudarse a un pequeño departamento. Así que Bea abandonaría su sueño de ir a la universidad para ayudar a su padre y hacerse cargo del negocio familiar. Algo que obviamente odia. Es por eso que siempre se encuentra fumando, porque es la única manera que tiene de lidiar con el estrés. Y es por eso que al principio también parece estar tan enojada con May, porque como ella misma lo dice, desprecia la idea de que su amiga sí pudo ir a la universidad. Y aún así decidió abandonarla. Esencialmente, Bea fue forzada a madurar cuando aún no estaba lista para ello, tomando las responsabilidades de su familia y aceptando un trabajo que claramente desprecia. Más adelante incluso descubrimos que le gusta ir a fiestas universitarias solo para sentir algún tipo de normalidad por unos segundos. Pero incluso ante estas situaciones, a veces le resulta muy difícil dejar su carga detrás. Bea obviamente representa la depresión, aunque en la psicología esto puede significar muchas cosas distintas. A veces, la depresión puede ser una enfermedad, en otras ocasiones el síntoma de un problema diferente, o en casos como este, la consecuencia de una vida sumamente desgastante. Luego tenemos a Greg, un personaje al que resulta muy sencillo querer. Greg creo que para muchas personas podría representar el optimismo. Ese siempre parece feliz, constantemente está bromeando con nosotros y al principio pareciera que nada puede llegar a molestarlo. Es esencialmente el contrario absoluto de Bea y sin duda es muy agradable pasar el tiempo con él. Pero en realidad Greg nos habla sobre algo muy importante y esa es la percepción que tenemos sobre los padecimientos mentales. Porque a primera instancia uno nunca se imaginaría que alguien que se ve como él pudiera tener algún tipo de problema. Pero la realidad es que para muchas personas los padecimientos mentales se ven como esto, se ven como algo feliz. Y es que Greg, a pesar de su alegre apariencia, sufre de baja autoestima y también de algo conocido como trastorno bipolar, el cual se caracteriza por la falta de control en las emociones. Greg mismo nos cuenta sobre esto, diciéndonos que a veces tiene días muy buenos y a veces muy malos, pero que nunca sabe de cuál se tratará hasta que el día termina. La bipolaridad también puede llevar a una persona a tener momentos de extrema energía y positivismo solo para entrar en un estado de depresión en los días siguientes. Esta es la razón por la que, a pesar de los increíbles momentos que pasamos junto a Greg, a veces podemos encontrarlo completamente decaído. Pero una de las partes más significativas sobre este personaje es la percepción que tiene sobre él mismo. constantemente dudando de si es una buena persona. Y en algún momento, incluso nos menciona que pasa casi todas las noches pensando en las cosas que odia sobre él. Y constantemente se imagina que de alguna manera va a arruinar sus relaciones. Pero aún así se esfuerza por intentar mejorar. No necesariamente por él mismo, sino por las personas que quiere, especialmente por Angus. Angus es el último de los amigos principales de May y también es la pareja de Greg, pero a diferencia de estos dos es mucho más callado y reservado que el resto. Podríamos decir que Angus es la voz de la razón, la persona que mantiene a todos con los pies en la tierra. Es responsable, bastante educado y se preocupa enormemente por los demás. Y aún así, es el que tiene la historia más complicada de todas. Porque a pesar de su tranquilidad aparente, la infancia de Angus fue una bastante difícil. No solo su padre lo golpeaba de una manera constante, sino que su madre lo dejaba sin comer durante días seguidos. Es por eso que en la época actual le encanta cocinar para las otras personas. Durante años, Angus sufriría de incontables maltratos físicos y psicológicos, y su historia nos habla precisamente de las consecuencias del trauma, por lo que ahora en su vida adulta intenta ser la mejor persona posible, justo para no convertirse en el mismo tipo de monstruo. Y es por esto también que uno de sus sueños es alejarse del pueblo junto con Greg, algo por lo que han estado trabajando durante meses. Aunque obviamente cuando May se entera de esto, reacciona de una forma un tanto agresiva. No puede comprender por qué ambos quisieran irse del pueblo. Para este punto, May aún es bastante inmadura y es incapaz de ver el sufrimiento por el que sus amigos han atravesado. Ella lo único que quiere es salir a divertirse, no busca pensar en problemas ni nada parecido. Y justamente por esto, hay una escena en particular en donde, por primera y única vez dentro del juego, Angus parece bastante molesto. Y al final, admite que es por la forma en la que Greg se ha comportado desde que May regresó a la ciudad, actuando como un niño pequeño y
Dostoyevsky, en su novela Los hermanos Karamazov, escrita por primera vez en 1880, profundiza en la inquietud del hombre por encontrar sentido en su vida. Esta preocupación se refleja en una frase específica ubicada en el libro 2, capítulo 6, titulado El Gran Inquisidor. Dostoyevsky, a través de esta obra, explora la constante búsqueda de significado del ser humano en un mundo marcado por el sufrimiento y las contradicciones. Sugiere que esta búsqueda es inherente a nuestra naturaleza y puede manifestarse de diversas formas, ya sea a través de la religión, la filosofía, el amor o el arte. Apuntes del subsuelo, otra de sus obras destacadas, presenta a un narrador sin nombre, autodenominado el hombre del subsuelo, que refleja la alienación y la insatisfacción del individuo moderno. En conjunto, estas obras de Dostoyevsky exploran la esencia misma del ser humano y su interminable búsqueda de sentido y propósito en la vida. Mediante sus introspecciones y reflexiones, el protagonista de Memorias del Subsuelo examina temas como el nihilismo, la alienación, la autonomía individual y la esencia del ser humano. Este personaje se retrata como profundamente insatisfecho con la sociedad y consigo mismo. Desprecia las convenciones sociales, pero se siente atrapado por ellas, lo que se manifiesta en su comportamiento contradictorio y autodestructivo. La historia sigue a un funcionario retirado de mediana edad, recién cumplidos los 40 años, que se siente miserable y solitario en un modesto apartamento, subterráneo sin amigos. Dostoyevsky escribió este libro en respuesta al auge del nihilismo y el existencialismo en Rusia y Europa, advirtiendo sobre las consecuencias de vivir una vida sin sentido. En resumen, nos insta a no seguir el ejemplo del protagonista para evitar un destino similar. En este vídeo, explorarás las lecciones fundamentales que podemos extraer de la historia de Memorias del Subsuelo y cómo evitar caer en las mismas trampas que lo llevaron a la desgracia. En la primera parte se aborda la noción de pasividad absoluta y contemplación constante, que describe una situación en la que una persona se ve atrapada en un ciclo de inacción. Esta persona no toma acciones significativas en su vida y se limita a pensar y reflexionar sobre las cosas sin actuar en consecuencia. Esta actitud puede ser indicativa de una parálisis emocional, indecisión o falta de motivación para emprender acciones concretas. A pesar de estar inmersa en sus pensamientos y preocupaciones, la persona no logra traducirlos en acciones tangibles que puedan modificar su situación o mejorar su vida. La obra de Dostoyevsky ilustra esta idea con ejemplos en los que el narrador expresa su deseo de llevar a cabo ciertas acciones, como iniciar una pelea con un oficial militar, pero nunca las concreta. Aunque desea que ocurran desgracias a quienes lo rodean, rara vez toma medidas para que esto suceda. Su monólogo interno se caracteriza por rumiar constantemente sobre sus pensamientos, pero su falta de acción contribuye en gran medida a su profunda miseria. El narrador clasifica a las personas en dos categorías, aquellas que toman acción y las que solo reflexionan. Siente una envidia intensa por aquellos que actúan, ya que logran resultados tangibles y son enérgicos y proactivos. En contraste, quienes solo piensan pueden generar ideas brillantes, pero al final no logran nada debido a su incapacidad para actuar sobre ellas. Esta incapacidad para materializar sus deseos socava gradualmente el autorrespeto del narrador, quien se critica internamente por su inacción y promete tomar medidas la próxima vez, aunque sabe que nunca lo hará. Muchos podemos identificarnos con este sentimiento de prometer algo y no cumplirlo, lo que eventualmente conduce a una pérdida de respeto por nosotros mismos y nos deja sintiéndonos incapaces de actuar, desarrollando así una sensación de impotencia aprendida. En una historia del libro, el narrador promete abofetear a un conocido para recuperar su autorrespeto, pero se rinde ante el menor obstáculo, revelando la baja autoestima que tiene, al punto de que ya no le importa si se respeta a sí mismo. La advertencia de Dostoyevsky es clara. Debemos evitar caer en este patrón de impotencia aprendida. Mantén la fe con confianza y autorrespeto. Decidir sentarte y comprometerte a hacer algo, incluso sabiendo que no lo cumplirás, puede conducir eventualmente a que te desprecies, y ese es un costo que nadie debería estar dispuesto a asumir. Al abordar la evasión de la confrontación, Dostoyevsky examinó las implicaciones psicológicas y éticas de evitar los desafíos. Censuraba la mentalidad de aquellos que intentaban eludir las dificultades y responsabilidades de la vida, argumentando que esto conduce a una existencia vacía y carente de propósito. Describió de manera sombría a quienes evitan los desafíos, insinuando que su falta de disposición para enfrentar la realidad puede desembocar en una vida de insatisfacción, conflicto interno y, en última instancia, autodestrucción. Una y otra vez, el narrador evade los desafíos y, como resultado, nunca evoluciona como individuo. Una de las primeras confesiones del narrador en el libro es su renuncia al trabajo en cuanto tuvo la oportunidad. Desde entonces, no ha emprendido nada significativo. No encuentra nada que colme el vacío dejado por su evasión de los desafíos, lo que le lleva a un profundo sufrimiento. Al evitar los desafíos, se enfrenta al mayor desafío de todos, una vida sin sentido. Memorias del Subsuelo trata de un hombre que ha renunciado por completo al juego de la vida y luego se pregunta por qué no experimenta placer alguno. Las repercusiones de esta actitud afectan al narrador tanto a corto como a largo plazo. Inmediatamente lo sumerge en un estado de cobardía absoluta. Cada vez que se enfrenta a un desafío, experimenta un intenso miedo o siente la presión de estar a la altura de las circunstancias. Y como respuesta, evita enfrentarse a ello con vehemencia. Esta evasión constante de las situaciones desafiantes lo deja estancado en su falta de valentía, sin experimentar ningún crecimiento personal en ese aspecto. A pesar de expresar en distintas ocasiones su deseo de confrontar a otros, ya sea en un duelo o de alguna otra manera, nunca toma acción al respecto. Se convierte así en víctima de su propia cobardía, la cual ha surgido como consecuencia de su constante evitación de cualquier conflicto o desafío significativo en su vida. Un punto especialmente intrigante del libro ocurre cuando el narrador se encuentra con su antiguo colega SO y sus amigos en un bar, a pesar de sentir un profundo resentimiento hacia Berkov y sus compañeros. El narrador experimenta una sensación de incapacidad para enfrentar directamente a Berkov y sus amigos debido al temor al rechazo y la humillación. En lugar de expresar abiertamente su desprecio hacia ellos, se siente obligado a conformarse con las normas sociales y tratar de integrarse, aunque experimente profunda incomodidad y desprecio. Esta falta de confrontación directa refleja la cobardía del narrador y su renuencia a abordar los conflictos de manera sincera y valiente. En su lugar, elige reprimir sus verdaderos sentimientos y someterse a la presión social, lo que solo intensifica su sufrimiento interior. Reflexiona sobre tu propia vida. ¿Qué desafíos estás evitando? ¿Qué responsabilidades estás posponiendo por miedo al rechazo? Recuerda que la verdadera valentía radica en la acción, no simplemente en la creencia de ser valiente. A menudo se ha dicho que evitar el compromiso es una característica distintiva de la madurez, ya que implica asumir la responsabilidad de nuestras acciones. Hay una razón por la que no castigamos a los niños por pelearse en el patio de recreo o amenazar a los adultos. Sin embargo, al alcanzar la edad adulta, se espera que asumamos plenamente la responsabilidad de nuestras decisiones y enfrentemos las consecuencias que conllevan. Memorias del subsuelo ilustra claramente por qué es esencial que adoptemos esta actitud. Él busca constantemente transferir la responsabilidad de su vida a otros, atribuyendo su infelicidad a los demás, culpando a sus conocidos por su falta de autoestima y al mundo por su falta de amistades. En lugar de reconocer su propia naturaleza antipática, busca ser validado por el mero hecho de existir. Su negativa a aceptar responsabilidad alguna por sus acciones indica que su situación es verdaderamente desesperada. En un momento emotivo del libro, Lisa, una prostituta que conoció y luego se convirtió en su amiga, lo abraza por compasión y él declara: "No me dejarán, no puedo hacerlo, es imposible que yo vuelva a ser bueno otra vez". Esta idea, presente en Dostoyevsky, resuena en las obras de otros pensadores existencialistas como Sartre y en psicoterapeutas como Jung, quienes reconocen lo difícil que es asumir la responsabilidad de nuestra propia vida. A menudo, es más sencillo culpar al mundo o a otras personas en lugar de examinar nuestras propias acciones y decisiones. El narrador parece tener una comprensión secreta de que constantemente se está comportando de manera patética. Evita enfrentarse a su propia imagen en el libro, lo que ilustra claramente su incapacidad para tolerar su propia compañía. Al rechazar una de las cualidades que la mayoría de las personas consideran dignas de respeto, él mismo se ha convertido en objeto de lástima según sus propios valores. No hay forma más rápida de caer en la miseria que esta. Si otros pierden el respeto por ti, es posible que ya no deseen estar cerca de ti. Sin embargo, si pierdes tu propio respeto, quedarás atrapado en un ciclo interminable de auto-odio. En la cuarta y última parte, se aborda la soberbia intelectual. Dostoyevsky tenía una visión crítica de este rasgo, ya que creía que conducía a una falta de humanidad y moralidad, separando al individuo de su propia humanidad. El protagonista se enorgullece de su propia arrogancia intelectual y cree que podría revertir su desafortunada vida en cualquier momento. Sin embargo, en lugar de eso, continúa avanzando en su descenso porque está convencido de su propia inteligencia. A lo largo del libro, se enfrenta constantemente a desafíos a su visión del mundo. Por un lado, están sus antiguos amigos de la escuela, que han tenido más éxito que él y parecen más compasivos hacia los demás. Por otro lado está Lisa, quien logra mantener un sentido de optimismo y empatía incluso en las circunstancias más oscuras. A pesar de que el narrador reflexiona extensamente sobre enfoques más positivos y significativos para la vida, los rechaza a todos sin una razón válida. Simplemente cree que sus propias ideas son más inteligentes que las demás. Considera su nihilismo oscuro y cobarde como la posición natural de una persona inteligente y educada y se niega obstinadamente a cambiar de opinión. En su arrogancia está convencido de que sabe más que cualquier otra persona que lo rodea, a pesar de que no puede demostrar ese conocimiento en absoluto. Se ha convencido a sí mismo de que es alguien razonablemente culto e inteligente y cree que posee un genio único en su generación. Sus delirios de grandeza le impiden aceptar cualquier consejo de los demás, incluso cuando claramente sería beneficioso, y le ofrecen un lugar donde refugiarse cuando se siente avergonzado por el éxito material o espiritual de los demás. Después de todo, él considera que es demasiado inteligente para la sociedad, así que no es de extrañar que haya encontrado poco éxito en ella. Creo que Dostoyevsky nos está advirtiendo aquí sobre un tipo particular de persona en el que muchos de nosotros corremos el riesgo de convertirnos. Dostoyevsky advierte a personas como tú, que están interesadas en aprender y en mejorar su vida, a no dejarse llevar por el reino de la arrogancia intelectual, donde el aprendizaje se vuelve imposible. En mi opinión, este es uno de los componentes pasados por alto del personaje del narrador en la novela, su arrogante suposición de que su camino es el más inteligente. Cualquiera puede ser salvado de un camino de autodestrucción siempre y cuando tenga una mente abierta y esté dispuesto a aprender cosas nuevas, experimentar con nuevas perspectivas y seguir desarrollándose como persona. El hombre del subsuelo se ha cerrado a cualquier tipo de evolución y ha confinado su carácter a ser estático y estancado. Y todo porque cree saber más que todos los demás. Según Dostoyevsky, esta es una de las peores desgracias a las que se puede enfrentar un ser humano, ya que cuando creemos que lo sabemos todo, inevitablemente no aprenderemos nada. Para terminar, cito a Dostoyevsky: si quieres ser respetado por los demás, lo mejor es respetarte a ti mismo. Solo por eso, solo por el propio respeto que te tengas, inspirarás a los otros a respetarte. Hasta aquí el video de hoy. Gracias por su valiosa atención. Recuerda, pequeños cambios en tu vida diaria pueden conducir a una gran mejora para alcanzar eso que tanto quieres. No olvides suscribirte si te gusta este tipo de contenido. Nos vemos en el próximo video.
Cuando un hombre puede decir de sus estados y acciones, como soy, así actúo, puede ser uno consigo mismo y puede aceptar la responsabilidad de sí mismo aunque luche contra ello. Carl Jung era un hombre de intereses eclécticos y esto se refleja en la prolífica naturaleza de sus escritos. Pero de todo lo que escribió, un tema es el más importante para él y es la cuestión de cómo se puede cultivar un gran carácter. Porque Jung reconoció la verdad en la afirmación de Heráclito de que nuestro carácter es el destino. Los golpes del destino pueden ser amables o crueles y otras personas pueden tratarnos mal o bien, pero nuestra experiencia de estas cosas y lo que hacemos con lo que nos dan depende del estado de nuestro carácter. El cultivo de un gran carácter es una tarea de suma importancia y en este video exploraremos algunas de las ideas de Jung sobre cómo podemos lograr esta hazaña, una hazaña a la que se refirió como individuación o simplemente autorrealización. Para empezar, es importante señalar que Jung creía que alcanzar un gran personaje era algo que cualquiera de nosotros podía lograr. No depende del éxito externo, ya sea la acumulación de riqueza o estatus social, ni requiere talentos o habilidades intelectuales excepcionales, ya que, como dijo Jung, para lograr un desarrollo psicológico de gran alcance, No es necesaria una inteligencia sobresaliente ni ningún otro talento. Para entender lo que es necesario, una cita del ensayo de Jung, El árbol filosófico, puede indicarnos la dirección correcta. Uno no se ilumina imaginando figuras de luz, sino haciendo consciente la oscuridad. Para convertirnos en uno de los pocos que existe en un estado de armonía y que puede afirmar con confianza, como soy, así actúo, debemos estar dispuestos a mirar dentro, iluminar la oscuridad de nuestro inconsciente e integrar lo que descubrimos en la conciencia. Jung pone tanto énfasis en el poder del inconsciente para transformar quiénes somos debido al hecho de que es el ámbito mucho más amplio de nuestra psique total. Lo que somos conscientes o lo que existe en el campo de nuestra conciencia es solo una porción de nuestra personalidad total. Reprimimos mucho sobre quiénes somos, olvidamos aún más e incluso existen, según Jung, potencialidades y energías instintivas de las que podemos pasar toda nuestra vida en total ignorancia. Pero incluso si aceptamos que el inconsciente contiene muchas cosas que podrían integrarse en nuestro carácter, ¿no hay una buena razón por la que estas cosas son inconscientes en primer lugar? ¿No es mejor permitir que algunos elementos de nuestra personalidad residan fuera de nuestra conciencia? Jung responde a esta pregunta con un rotundo no, y por la sencilla razón de que los elementos de nuestro inconsciente siguen influyéndonos aunque desconozcamos su existencia. En otras palabras, la principal diferencia entre un elemento psíquico del que somos conscientes y uno que es inconsciente es que lo que existe en la conciencia puede potencialmente ser controlado, mientras que lo que existe en el inconsciente tiene una existencia autónoma y, por lo tanto, muchas veces producirá efectos. Perjudicial para nuestro bienestar. El rechazo del inconsciente suele tener resultados desafortunados. Cuanto más negativa es la actitud del consciente hacia el inconsciente, más peligroso se vuelve este último. Otra razón para volvernos más conscientes de nosotros mismos es que el inconsciente no solo alberga elementos de nuestro carácter que entran en conflicto con nuestra autoimagen y provocan vergüenza, como nuestros defectos y debilidades de carácter, sino que también contiene mucho de lo que es lo mejor de nosotros. Esto es especialmente cierto en la actualidad, donde tendemos a confiar demasiado en nuestro rol social, o lo que Jung llamó la persona, en la construcción de nuestro carácter. Al hacerlo hacemos una formidable concesión al mundo exterior, un genuino autosacrificio que lleva al ego directamente a la identificación con la persona, de modo que realmente existen personas que creen que son lo que pretenden ser. Nuestra personalidad nunca debería definirnos, debería ser simplemente un papel que desempeñamos en los momentos apropiados. Porque cuando lleguemos a creer que somos las máscaras que usamos, habremos sacrificado todo el bien de nuestro carácter que no se alinea con las tendencias de conformidad sobre las cuales nuestra persona fue esculpida. Nuestro verdadero yo pasa a un segundo plano y da lugar al reconocimiento social, Carl Jung, y nos convertimos en un espejo de lo que creemos que los demás quieren que seamos. Todo esto tiene un alto precio que pagar, porque se deja demasiado en la oscuridad, se niega demasiado de nuestro carácter y se crea un yo dividido. Un hombre no puede deshacerse de sí mismo en favor de una personalidad artificial sin castigo, escribió Jung. Incluso el intento de hacerlo provoca, en todos los casos ordinarios, reacciones inconscientes en forma de mal humor, afectos, fobias, ideas obsesivas, reincidencias, vicios, etc. El hombre fuerte social es a menudo en su vida privada un simple niño en lo que respecta a sus propios estados de sentimiento. Su disciplina en público, que exige especialmente a los demás, se desmorona miserablemente en privado. Para cultivar un gran carácter, debemos ser de los pocos que sanan la división interna que surge de una identificación demasiado fuerte con nuestro rol social. Necesitamos aceptar que nuestra persona representa solo una parte de nuestro carácter total y debe convertirse en nuestro deber imperativo quitarnos nuestra máscara social y aprender qué hay debajo. Para lograr esta tarea, Jung sugiere que empecemos por adoptar una visión más colectiva de quiénes somos. Nuestra mirada debe volverse hacia afuera y debemos observar y tomar nota de los rasgos de carácter de quienes nos rodean. Este consejo puede parecer paradójico, ya que nuestra personalidad se forma principalmente a través de la observación y la imitación de otras personas. Pero el objetivo de este ejercicio es aprender qué se esconde detrás de las máscaras de nuestros pares y exponernos a los elementos que ocupan su inconsciente, porque es mucho más fácil mirar más allá de la personalidad de otra persona, notar las discrepancias en su comportamiento, las grietas en su armadura, por así decirlo, que reconocer esos mismos elementos dentro de nosotros mismos. Además, debido a la tendencia a proyectar rasgos inconscientes de nuestro carácter en quienes nos rodean, este ejercicio también nos pondrá en contacto con estos elementos proyectados. Si somos astutos en nuestra observación, este giro colectivo nos hará más fácil aceptar una imagen más completa de quiénes somos, a medida que nos daremos cuenta de que todo el mundo tiene en sí algo de criminal, de genio y de santo. Pero el desarrollo del carácter no termina con el reconocimiento de nuestra naturaleza humana compartida, sino que la meta por la que nos esforzamos, es decir, la grandeza de carácter, requiere que demos un orden y estilo únicos a estos elementos universales. En palabras de Jung, debemos abrazar nuestra unicidad más íntima, última e incomparable. Porque si bien se comparte mucho sobre la naturaleza humana, Jung también enfatizó que la distribución de estos rasgos compartidos y el grado en que cada persona puede desarrollar una determinada capacidad es siempre único. La idiosincrasia de un individuo no debe entenderse como una extrañeza en su sustancia o en sus componentes, sino más bien como una combinación.
We're here this week for a roller coaster on asphalt at the viciously tight and twisty Rally Mediterraneo. The crews will be racing along these narrow stages in a matter of moments, with everything to play for and plenty of points to be scored. A look at the weather now, and clear skies are forecast for the majority of this event weekend. I'm sure many of the crews here will be looking to take full advantage of the nice clean running that should provide. And now to the standings. It's a new start to the championship here, and every team will be very aware that if they can perform today, they can cement a solid base to build on the rest of the season.
Bonjour. Hope you're excited for some tight and winding roads here at Rally Mediterraneo. The sections through the village can gain you a lot of time.
Right. Looking around, we've got some serious competition, and everyone will be...
Start 60, slight right to the crest. Good luck. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. 60, slight right to the crest. 100. Slight left, don't cut. 80, slowing. Caution, right to the crest, to slight left, and hairpin left, don't cut. Tightens, and 3 right, cut. To slight left, bumpy, 200. Slight right, into slight left of the crest, 100.
Única o diferenciación gradual de funciones y facultades que en sí mismas son universales. Cada rostro humano tiene una nariz, dos ojos, etc. Pero estos factores universales son variables, y es esta variabilidad la que hace posibles las peculiaridades individuales. La autorrealización, por lo tanto, solo puede significar un proceso de desarrollo psicológico que cumpla las cualidades individuales dadas. En otras palabras, es un proceso mediante el cual un hombre se convierte en el ser único y definido que en realidad es. Un enfoque útil para poner un orden adecuado en la configuración única de nuestro carácter es prestar atención a cualquier rasgo que, cuando se observa en los demás, desencadene sentimientos de inferioridad en nosotros mismos. Una sensibilidad particular hacia un rasgo de carácter de otra persona, y esto se aplica tanto a las fortalezas como a las debilidades, es una buena señal de que se trata de un rasgo que ha existido durante demasiado tiempo en la oscuridad de nuestro inconsciente. Un sentimiento de inferioridad moral, escribe Jung, siempre indica que el elemento que falta es algo que, a juzgar por este sentimiento al respecto, realmente no debería faltar, o que podría hacerse consciente si uno se tomara las suficientes molestias. Siempre que aparece un sentimiento de inferioridad moral, indica no solo la necesidad de asimilar un componente inconsciente, sino también la posibilidad de tal asimilación. A medida que integremos más elementos de nuestro carácter en la luz de la conciencia, avanzaremos hacia el ideal de la integridad psicológica, y la integridad, según Jung, es la marca definitoria de un gran carácter y el medio para controlar cada vez más nuestro destino. Porque cada vez que aceptamos una debilidad, en lugar de negarla, ganamos cierta influencia sobre ella y podemos aprender a minimizar sus efectos en nosotros. Cada vez que descubrimos una nueva fortaleza de nuestro carácter, se abre ante nosotros un nuevo conjunto de posibilidades y nuestra vida será mucho mejor por ello. Por estas razones, no hay tarea que podamos proponernos, ningún proyecto de vida que podamos adoptar que sea más gratificante que el cultivo de un gran carácter. Y a diferencia de otros proyectos de vida, que a menudo requieren la cooperación de factores externos, ya sea dinero u otras personas, este proyecto no requiere tales cosas. Podemos emprender este proyecto en cualquier momento que elijamos y, dada la brevedad y la naturaleza incierta de la existencia, ahora es siempre el mejor momento para comenzar el viaje que cambiará la vida y descubrirá más plenamente quiénes somos. En todas las circunstancias es una ventaja estar en plena posesión de la propia personalidad. De lo contrario, las partes reprimidas de la personalidad solo surgirán como un obstáculo en otra parte, no solo en algún punto sin importancia, sino en el mismo lugar donde somos más sensibles. Este gusano siempre pudre el corazón. En lugar de declararse la guerra a sí mismo, seguramente es mejor para un hombre aprender a tolerarse a sí mismo y convertir sus dificultades internas en experiencias reales en lugar de gastarlas en fantasías inútiles. Entonces, al menos vivirá y no desperdiciará su vida en luchas infructuosas. Si disfrutaste este contenido y quieres ver más, no olvides suscribirte. Haz clic en el botón de suscripción y activa la campanita para no perderte ninguna actualización. Gracias por ver y hasta la próxima.
Slight left of crest, slowing 90, 4 right short, and 4 left, tightens 70, 4 right short of a crest, 60, 6 left, half long, double caution, and slight right into 3 right short, and 1 right short, and square left, 40, 6 right, to slight left, long, 80, 6 right, long, tightens, 50, caution, crest, 4 left short, 30, 6 left of the crest, and 6 right, long. starts.
Before they don't want to be held, or if his phone.
When I was a kid, I asked my mum if I was going to die. One day, she said, "Why do I have to die? That's just the way things are." She didn't try to comfort me or lie to me, because no one knows why. It's just the way things are. Every once in a while I'll remember that I'm going to die. What I find insane is the fact that I forget. Sometimes it will hit me as a sinking feeling in my stomach, reminding me that I don't wake up every morning forever, and other times it sends me into panic. I really realise what that means. I remember staring at my girl one night at 2 AM in the morning. She was asleep and I was trying to keep myself calm. It really hit me that one day we'll never talk to each other again. No more good days, no more bad days, no more holding each other and spending time together. No more stress or laughing, no more trees, no more brushing my teeth. No more cold mornings, no more hot summers, no more music or movies or experiences or embarrassment. No more awkward interactions where someone holds the door open for you but there's two doors, so they've held the door open for you twice and you wonder to yourself whether saying thank you the first time was enough or you should say it for the second time just in case you don't seem polite. Just nothing. I put my arms around her and held her tighter than I ever had, like it was the last time I was ever going to see her again. My mind started to think of ways I could avoid this like every other problem in my life. There must be a way out of it. Maybe Elon will invent a way to increase lifespan by the time I'm older. Maybe I can freeze my body and hope that someone figures out mortality in the future. But the thing is, I can't solve this. Everyone knows they're going to die, but not everyone lives like it. And I think it's because we kind of don't believe we will. Our brains operate based off what we experience, but we keep waking up every day so it feels like it won't end. If people actually live like they were going to die, they stop caring about the pointless opinions of others, whether they look cool or stupid. All of a sudden, sitting and scrolling on TikTok becomes a lot more consequential. They wouldn't put off that trip to America and would just go ask the girl they like out. They stop waiting for a future version of themselves to come and save them. But we don't. We can sort all that out later. And I'm not some sort of self-improvement guru. I'm not saying that because you're going to die, you have to work your arse off. I'm also saying you should party harder, laugh more, try more things. If you enjoy playing Minecraft with your friends, then be present and enjoy it. Just make sure you're not wasting your life on something you don't actually care about. I had this realization when I was in Paris recently, that life is like a holiday. And I know that sounds corny as hell, but it's a sick analogy, so just hear me out. When we go away, we arrive and we're tired, so we relax. We still have the whole week left to enjoy, and we have time. We'll get round to seeing everything, but right now we're tired from the flight, so we'd rather just chill in the hotel. This is like being in your teens or 20s. You have all these things you want to do and see, but you have all the time in the world to do it, so you put it off. And we tell ourselves, when we have the right amount of time, or money, when we're finally successful, when we're in a relationship, when we're finally single, then I'll do it. A few more days, and you've done some stuff, but not as much as you thought you would have. But you're still only halfway through, you can fit it all in. But the thought that you have to go back starts to dawn on you, so you start to take it all in a little bit more. This is like being in your 30s and your 50s. You're not old, but you're starting to think about your age a lot more, and all the things you still haven't done yet. A few more days and you're rushing to see the sights that you haven't seen. You're trying to take it all in, but the dread of leaving hits you. You know you're about to go, and you might never see this place ever again. And you think to yourself, if only I took advantage of those first few days and didn't sit in the hotel. This is like being in your 60s and 80s. You reflect on the time that you had, and what you could have done with it. But you know soon that you have to go. There's a scene in the movie Don't Look Up where the comet that's been coming to Earth is just about to hit, and everyone finally accepts that they're about to die. All the bullshit goes out the window, all the formalities, the awkwardness, the politeness, all the meaningless fear, and everyone does what they actually really care about. Everyone begins spending time with their family, admitting love for one another, fucking each other, fighting each other, and giving in to what they actually cared about the whole time. That scene changed my perspective on everything, because there is a comet coming. There always has been since the day you took your first breath. But just because you can't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And one day, it will be right in front of you, and all the bullshit will go out the window, all the formalities, the awkwardness, the politeness, and you'll reflect on your life and what you really care about. Did you chase after your dreams, or did you just get by, keeping everyone around you at peace? Never really pushing out your comfort zone. Did you spend time with the people you care about? Or did you put off your happiness saving it for the day you finally make it? That's what most people say when asked what their regrets are on their deathbed. I don't want to be one of those people. You're going to die. Start living like it.
50, crest, 4 left short, 30, 6 left crest, and 6 right. To 5 left, tightens, to 5 right short, 80, caution crest. Into 3 right short, into 6 left, 70. 5 left short, slowing 100. Caution bump. And 1 right short, 70, late, hairpin left. Starts.
Yeah, no, I do.
Do that again. Quick, think of a number 1 to 10. Yes, you. All of you in the audience right now. Or maybe it's just one of you. Or 4 of you, or 100 of you, depending on how successful this movie is. Whatever. Just think of a number 1 to 10. Got it? Is it 7? Chances are I'm wrong, but for about 1 out of every 3 of you, I just blew your goddamn mind. But 1 out of 3? Not 1 out of 10? How is that possible?
Get what you want. So I want you to take a millisecond right now, and I want you to think about what you want. You. And I want you to be selfish. Screw Simon and the we thing. This is about me, right now. Sorry, Simon. What do you want? And here's the deal. I don't want it to sound good to other people. Being healthy will not get your ass on procrastinating on raising their hand. Okay, how many procrastinators are in the room? Raise your hand. And everybody else is just procrastinating on raising their hand. I'm about to change your life because this piece of research changed mine. Procrastination has nothing to do with work. The people that write to us the most that struggle with procrastinating, PhD students, engineers, entrepreneurs, people that have a lot on their plate, that have a lot of things that they need to juggle, and that are analytical and thinkers by nature. Procrastination is a form of stress relief. What are you stressed about?
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're
So imagine that what I'm telling you bears some vague resemblance to the truth. I think there's quite a lot of evidence for it from a biological perspective. I mean, this choosy mating thing occurs with lots of species.
One of my favorite movies is The Matrix.
Came to mind. I don't feel like I have, like, compared to most, maybe as deserving of a spot on the show. Like my girlfriend, actually, I think she came on, Cutie. I don't know if you remember. It was a bit ago. She got the bag. She got anxiety, depression, the whole works, and I feel pretty good. Or fortunate, I should say, that I don't have personal problems that that I know of that I feel the need to talk to, but maybe broader subjects like we talk about parasocial relationships a lot on stream.
Sure.
And I'm sure you have some sagedom about it.
All right.
And then the only other thing is death. I figured you probably know what happens after we die, and I wanted to ask at some point.
Sure.
Years from now, when all these studies come out, what's going to be the negative impact of social media?
Answer.
What's that quote? Comparison is a thief of this task. And they'd be like, a page long. Every time I had a performance review, I wrote one sentence. And all I said was, I just want to get better. And I left it at that. My boss called me in the office the first time I did that. I did it like 5 times. I just want to get better. And the first time she went, what's going on here? Like, most people give like all the things that it did. I'm like, I don't even know. Like, I really don't know much about banking. I'm just trying to get better every day. I really don't know what I'm doing. Like, I'll be honest. Like, I really don't know what I'm doing. I just know what I need to do. So, yeah.
And then what did she say?
she was like, okay, whatever. Whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I get the feeling, Jason, that you weren't really living your life back then.
No, I wasn't.
That's, man, well said. So, like, I really, first of all, appreciate how you kind of laid out how you're thinking about coming on stream.
If you are an empath or someone that can feel other...
Hello everyone.
This is you. You're a bunch of little circles. Actually, they're technically called molecules. And they are made of little circles that are made of little circles that aren't technically circles but fundamental disruptions in a quantum field for all intents and purposes.
They're remaking Indiana Jones without Harrison Ford. You can't do that. And now they're making Ghostbusters with only women. What's going on?
Have you seen these videos of AI cats? Basically, they're like these AI-generated sad cat story slideshows on TikTok. Let me show you some of my favorite examples. Let's start with what was I made for? Oh, this one's great. This one he shit himself. He shit his pants, and they're laughing at him. And he's getting made fun of. But wait, don't worry. He finds a girl cat to help him clean up his shit stain. And it's love. It's beautiful. Wait, where's the car crash one? This one he wants to get a PS5. He wants to get a PS5, and then he gets hit by a fucking truck. I've never even seen this one before. He drops his phone in the toilet, and then, so this one has more of an instructional vibe. He drops his phone into the toilet. And then, he cleans it up with toilet paper. He puts it in a bag of rice, I guess. This is you. You're a bunch of little circles. Actually, they're technically called molecules. And they are made of little circles that are made of little circles that aren't technically circles but fundamental disruptions in a quantum field. For all intents and purposes, circles. And you're not just this group of circles. You're a bunch of them called a body. But let's just say this is you. You're a bunch of circles who are trying to get the good circles before all the circles
Nietzsche's
go.
discovery of Dostoevsky was purely accidental. It happened late in his intellectual career, in the year 1887, when most of his books had already been written. One day, he was browsing a bookshop in Nice, France. There he saw a little book, translated in French, called L'Esprit Souterrain, by an author named Dostoevsky. But still, he compared...
This is you. You're a bunch of little circles. Actually, they're technically called molecules. And they are made of little circles that are made of little circles that aren't technically circles but fundamental disruptions in a quantum field. For all intents and purposes, circles. And you're not just this group of circles, you're a bunch of them called a body.
5.
But let's just say this is you. You're a bunch of circles who are trying to get the good circles before all the circles go away and you die.
100.
Why? Well, why is this? Because that's all we can see. No, but why is it that my experience must be created by a bunch of circles? Because that's how it seems. That's what the evidence shows. Oh, okay. What's the evidence? What's the hard evidence that all we are is circles? You don't have evidence? Isn't that circular reasoning? Is your red the same as... I mean, I know that my red is my red. Show me my red and I'll tell you, hey, I'll say, that's red. But I don't know that your red is my red. I could be experiencing my red the same way that you experience your green or your blue. I know my red is my red, you say. Yes, but I don't know that it's my red. Oh, but it is my red. I'll take your word for it.
The perception of colors has confounded empirical scientists for years. It is impossible to physically demonstrate how colors are perceived. And typically, if something isn't physically demonstrable, empiricists would call it unknowable. But it's not unknowable. I know how I experience red.
Well, I don't
get that. The point is, I know how I experience red. I'm having a conscious experience that has no conceivable physical corollary. And this is for scientists and philosophers alike to consider the possibility that consciousness is defined beyond the scope of physics.
Philosopher René Descartes noticed that experience didn't necessarily arise from the chemical composition of the body, and he thought it was a problem, a big problem. He realized, nevertheless, that regardless of whether physical phenomena were even real in the first place, he was experiencing, and therefore his consciousness was actually real. He said it in just 3 words.
Descartes' legacy resulted in the splintering of the sciences into 2, the physical, issues of the body and the material world,
and metaphysical, issues of the mind and the soul. And for hundreds of years since, Western scientists have been primarily concerned with the former, and religionists and philosophers have been concerned with the latter. And it wasn't until a few hundred years later when a group of silly little guys called psychologists became concerned with studying consciousness from a scientific perspective.
Some psychologists have primarily studied consciousness in a vacuum,
and some have focused more so on its supposed origin from matter.
But in over a century of research, no evidence has been demonstrated directly proving the emergence of consciousness from matter.
The hard problem of consciousness addresses this link, or the lack thereof. This handsome fellow, David Chalmers, is a contemporary philosopher who has pointed out that no one could possibly empirically prove that consciousness comes from chemistry for the reason that consciousness is experienced in the first person, and it's therefore impossible to tangibly demonstrate the experience of anything other than what you are experiencing. The absolute madman has even gone as far as to say that it must arise from outside our current understanding of physics itself. And how did he do it? By thinking of zombies. Now hear me out. Imagine a world that is identical to this one, down to the atom. However, in this world, nobody is conscious. Nobody is experiencing the je ne sais quoi, the something that it is, to be them. According to our current understanding of physics, chemistry, and biology, such a world is entirely possible. Nothing within our understanding of science says that consciousness must happen in such a world. Chalmers argues that if, in the eyes of physics, such a materially identical world without consciousness could even possibly exist, we must assume that consciousness lies outside of the realm of physics.
The only other way to approach this problem, without admitting that there are just limitations to empirical science in this field, is to deny that we are experiencing at all. The solution is that I am an illusion, you are an illusion, the world is an illusion, everything is an illusion.
What was that? Oh, it's Descartes, with his little buddy called a self-evidence. Now why is it that Descartes can get away with saying that he exists? That's because of the fact that some things are readily and naturally true, without proof. He made the clever little observation that although we might not be able to tell if thoughts arise from matter, we nevertheless must exist because
Well, we're thinking. In fact, in order to challenge this argument that everything is an illusion, we don't even need to go as far as to say that we exist. We just have to point out that anything exists at all. And that's not that hard to do. Things exist. We can see that. And even if we say that the things that we think exist don't actually exist, they're an illusion, well, us thinking that things exist is a thing that exists. Either way, in order to prove that consciousness must necessarily arise from matter, one would need to produce demonstrable evidence of where exactly that consciousness is and what it looks like. According to who? According to, I don't know, science. In order to believe that something is true, we have to prove it. Prove it into the ground. Consciousness coming from matter? That just hasn't been proven. So, are you just atoms? Well, according to science, that is the idea that truths need to be empirically proven in order for us to accept them? No, you're not. According to philosophy, that's a much deeper question. And not one we're answering today. But I have another question. Why are you watching this? Why are you making this? Well, I can answer that. Hi, my name is Eric, and this is what I look like. Considering that there are an infinite number of things that a person can possibly look like, you probably assume I look like something different. Sorry about that, but we're just gonna have to move on, okay? I actually wrote the intro to the script of this video like 4 years ago when I was a freshman in college, and I had just moved away from my friends to a new country, and I was devastated by the change in surroundings, and I was very depressed. My outlook in the script and in life at the time was a lot more cynical. I looked over at the hypothesis that my life was nothing more than an arbitrary collection of a bunch of circles, and there was no amount of optimistic nihilism or good vibes only that could help me get over that biting feeling that came with the idea that there's nothing that exists in reality, and that my life itself is a bubble of froth in a sea of just nothingness. If you hear that idea, and then you think to yourself, well then I'm just never gonna be happy, that doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. That means you're an intelligent person. That's just actually not an optimistic, life-affirming outlook. And you can spin it in as many ways as you want. Try to go, oh, life, you know, it's just this weird world. Oh, you know, it's monkeys on a rock, and we're all just a bunch of circles. Make your own. You can spin it whatever way you want, but really, if that's your reality, it's depression. It's a sad, sad world. Sadly, that's the predominating philosophy of the world. And at this time in my life, I heard the quote, imagine a society that subjects people to conditions that make them terribly unhappy and gives them the drugs to take away their unhappiness. I thought that was really pointing in the face of this philosophy that I wonder who said that. Oh, no, not that guy. Let me be very clear. The point of this video is not to criticize or dismiss science. Science is very important in our society and in our way of thinking. It's just to point out that pure empiricism actually has its limits, and if you look throughout the history of philosophy and science, this is not a controversial idea at all. Unfortunately, we live in the modern day where scientists and also just regular people go, well, you know, we may not have explicit proof that we're a bunch of circles, but I mean, we'll prove it eventually. And they just continue on as if it's necessarily true. And I just find it impossible to follow suit in that idea, especially when the founding fathers of Western science believe the contrary, alongside some of the most prominent cultural and artistic leaders of our time. And I just need to say, as I'm recording this right now, I can already see people in the comments ravenously defend the idea that we're a bunch of mere atoms. I don't think my 6-minute argument was so great that it's completely dispelled all doubts of this idea. And I do think it's in a way possible to have a philosophical position where you think that we are a bunch of atoms. And I'm not calling you dumb if you think that we are. I am saying, if you are actually like an incredibly intelligent, smart person, philosopher, please make a response video. Do not leave. None of us are reading on that. Okay? If you are actually a great philosopher, and the way you choose to communicate your messages to YouTube comments, I'm going to do you a service by either just not reading them or deleting them, because you gotta learn, no one is reading all. That is brilliant. So I just don't understand why I should spend my life rapidly pursuing the idea that I'm a bunch of atoms devoid of any objective meaning, substance, or free will. Why go through all that effort just to prove that I'm basically a slave to an arbitrary collection of circles? It's unscientific, it's impractical, and it's just depressing. Hell, even if there were only a 1% chance that I was something more than a bunch of atoms, which frankly it appears there's a much greater chance, but let's say there's just 1%, I think that's a game worth pursuing. Because at the end of it, there might actually be the reward of objective meaning, of real purpose, absolute, of something worth living. That is a gamble worth taking. And I'll leave you to consider that point with the words of the great
Titans of Agrest, to left of
If you're at
Agrest,
the table
50.
and you're rolling them bones, there's no money in playing it safe. You have to take all your chips and put them on double six. And watch, as every eye goes to you, and then to those red dice during their wild dance, freezing time before finding cruel green cells.
And
Hide
5
from
left,
luck.
half long, 30. Behind sharp, arrows, 50, 5 left, into 6 right. Into 5 left, 30, caution, turn, 1 left, sharp, 30, 4 left of the crest, 50. Up, into 3 left short, 40, hairpin left, don't cut. 30, 3 right, half long. And crest, 30. Right of the crest. And slight right, 40. 4 left to 5 right, half long, 50. 3 left short, into right of the crest, and turn, acute hairpin right, into 4 left, into 5 right, cut. And 5 left, tightens, into 6 right, 100. Over finish, and 2 left, tightens, to stop. Okay, that's a 9-minute 58.7. Start 60, slight right of the crest.
Morning. Excuse the informal setup here. I lost.
Our memory is remarkable.
you know. There's this bird called the bowerbird. You got to look up bowerbirds, man. Those things are...
Academy of Ideas is
you
supported
just can't
by
even believe they
individuals
exist.
like you.
And so the male bowerbird, he makes this really complicated nest that's close to the ground. He weaves it. It's really quite nice. You couldn't make one. So, and then he sweeps the yard in front of the nest, and then he runs around the forest, or flies, because he is a bird, finding pretty things. So maybe he'll find a nice collection of red leaves, and so then he'll take the red leaves one by one and fly back to his front yard and make a little square. You know, he's a bird, so it's not a great square, but he makes a little patch of red, and he takes a look at that, and then he goes off and finds something blue, and he decorates. He makes a little piece of abstract art in the front of his nest, and a lot of male bowerbirds do this all at the same time. And so then the females come along, they hop on something nearby, and they kind of look at it like this, checking it out. And if they're happy with it, well, then things proceed. But if they're not, they fly off to someone else's piece of abstract art. And if a male piece of art is rejected by like 3 females in a row, he gets irritated and brushes it all off with his wing, and then he makes another one. It's like, God. Well, they obviously have a very well developed sense of beauty. It's so cool, you know. And I guess the idea is that, who knows what the hell the idea is. The female birds like artistic males, something like that, but if you're thinking about it biologically, maybe it's an indication of intelligence. Right, it's a marker of intelligence. You know, and it's certainly the case that female humans prefer creative men. So, and no wonder, of course. We wouldn't be creative if that wasn't the case. So then imagine that there's 2 primary forces of evolutionary selection operating on us, and they're not really the natural world, which is what people always think, like the environment, you know, the animals and the trees and nature. But it isn't nature that selected us. It's 2 other things. Well, partly. It's 2 other things. So one is the dominance hierarchy. The male dominance hierarchy is one of the primary mechanisms of selection. So it's like, well, women are faced with a hard choice, which guy to go after. That's a hard choice. Well, so they do the same thing that people do with the stock market. They outsource the cognitive problem, the computational problem, to the male dominance hierarchy. Then they just let the males sort themselves out, however they're going to, and then they peel from the top. And so what that means is the male dominance hierarchy itself is a selection mechanism. Because if you fail at it, then you don't leave any offspring. And so what that means, at least in part, is that we have adapted to be better and better at attaining status in dominance hierarchies over God only knows how long a period of time. And that doesn't mean just power. You know, it might mean cognitive flexibility, because you could imagine dominance hierarchy A, dominance hierarchy B, dominance hierarchy C. Okay, so if you're really successful, you climb up dominance hierarchy A. Right, but B and C, no, if you happen to land in those, you'd just be a failure. So then you could say the ideal human being is someone who can climb to the top of a dominance hierarchy no matter what the dominance hierarchy is. Right, so we've evolved such that success across the set of possible dominance hierarchies is the target. And I think that's why we have general intelligence. Because general intelligence is a general problem-solving mechanism. And it's a single factor even. Like intelligence is a single factor. It's not divisible, despite what people like Robert Sternberg and Howard Gardner falsely claim. So, and then from the female perspective, females are the next gatekeeper, and that's why they're often Mother Nature. It took me a long time to figure this out. Why the hell is nature feminist in mythological representations? It's very, very, extraordinarily common. Mother Nature. You don't think of Father Nature. Think of Mother Nature. It's like, why? Well, nature brings forth new forms, so that's feminine. And nature selects. In fact, that's the definition of nature from a Darwinian perspective. Nature is that which selects. Women select their nature. And that's partly why far more men than you might think, like far more, are terrified of women. Because To be rejected as a romantic partner by a woman is to be classified as vaguely acceptable life form. No value in propagating it, though. Right, so it's a major rejection. And, you know, I've had dozens of clients and many people write to me whose primary problem is that they're so terrified of women they can't even approach them. Very common. So,
30, hairpin right. And slight left, 50. Slight right, opens up a crest, 90. Small crest.
Remarkable. It allows us to remember things, the good and bad, and help us make sense of everything around us by preserving details and events that we can later revisit. It's a crucial ability, without which we would have no semblance of who, what, or when. But what about remembering things that never happened? You must have had that feeling before. You know, the feeling that you've literally, and I mean literally, been somewhere, doing the same exact thing with the same exact people in the same exact situation. The same words, lights, sounds, everything. You try to hold on to this strange yet familiar feeling to try and understand it, to notice something that might explain what's causing it. But your efforts are to no avail. It's gone. Just like a dream you cannot remember, vivid as it was, that feeling too is gone. It was right there, you know you had it. But before you know it, the familiarity vanishes into thin air. And sure enough, life returns to normal. Welcome to the world of deja vu. The term deja vu means already seen, and instead of a throwaway term used to describe the repetition of a similar event, most of us describe it as an overwhelming feeling that the moment being experienced has already happened before, even though you know it probably hasn't. It's a common phenomenon, with as much as 70% of the population having experienced some form of deja vu. But it's a complicated one, considering it's so vague and abstract. Considering how common it is, however, you would expect that we would know more about it by now. And sure, there is some consensus about likely theories, but definitive explanations, just like the phenomenon itself, remain elusive. The feeling of deja vu remains surrounded with mystery and even paranormal interpretations, because it's fleeting and unexpected. But these very things that intrigue us are the same things that make it so hard to study. There are many different theories as to why deja vu happens. In fact, there are over 30. You get the idea. Whilst these are all distinct and specific, I'm left wondering if most of our experiences of deja vu is in fact a combination of several of these different types, all at the same time. Deja vu is quite possibly an umbrella term to describe any combination of these experiences. These experiences can be short, medium, or long duration, and are different from what could be called anomalous familiarity, like when you find someone's face familiar but can't quite place where you know them from. In fact, deja vu experiences can be placed on the spectrum of familiarity, on the far end of which are delusional misidentification syndromes. Syndromes like the Capgras delusion fall in this category, where patients think that loved ones have been replaced by imposters that happen to look alike. In other words, they find unfamiliarity in the familiar, the exact opposite of deja vu. That being said, Capgras delusion is a psychiatric disorder with some sort of explanation, whereas the explanation behind deja vu, well, let's get to that. Scientists have tried many times to recreate deja vu in the lab, with mixed success. In a 2006 study, researchers first created a simple memory for patients under hypnosis, something like playing a game or looking at a printed word in a certain color. Then, patients in different groups were given a suggestion to either forget or remember the memory, which could then later trigger the sense of deja vu when they encountered the game or word. Others have tried to induce deja vu using virtual reality. One study found that participants reported experiencing deja vu when moving through the Sims video game, when one scene was purposefully created to spatially map to another. For example, all of the bushes in a virtual garden were replaced with piles of trash to create a junkyard with the same layout. The success in creating deja vu experiences of sorts in these experiments has led the scientists suggesting that deja vu is a memory phenomenon, and this continues to be the most generally accepted explanation. Much like a word can be on the tip of your tongue, a deja vu experience could be a memory at the tip of your mind. There, but not quite accessible. When we encounter a situation that is similar to an actual memory, but we can't fully recall that memory, our brain recognizes the similarities between our current experience and one in the past. We're left with a feeling of familiarity that we can't quite place. I've got to say though, I don't feel like this explains my own experiences very well. There are many other theories that attempt to explain why our memories might malfunction in this way, beyond this pretty general explanation. Some say it's like our brain short-circuiting, leading to long versus short-term memory. That new incoming information goes straight to long-term memory instead of making a stop in the short-term memory bank. Others blame the rhinal cortex. One study used an MRI to scan the brains of 21 participants as they experienced a lab-induced deja vu. Interestingly, the areas of the brain involved in memory, like the hippocampus, were not triggered as you would expect if the feeling was linked to, for example, a false memory. Instead, the researchers found the active areas of the brain were those involved in decision-making. They interpret this result to mean that deja vu could instead be a result of our brains being involved in conflict resolution. In other words, our brain could be checking through our memories looking for conflicts between what we think we've experienced versus what actually happened to us. When your brain is firing on all cylinders in a familiar environment and in a routine that it often repeats, it's easy to use a sense of familiarity for what you're seeing as a guide and scan back through your memory until you can recall the origin of the memory. But when your brain is tired, stressed, or anxious, or surrounded by the unfamiliar even, it might struggle to scan through everything that it's been exposed to well enough to perform this conflict resolution. Instead, you start having intense feelings of familiarity brought on by things that are evocative of what you've experienced before. This could be a particular configuration of cups or books on a table, a street that looks a certain way with a traffic light in a certain position, without being able to pin down why it feels so familiar. The brain will always go for the easy way out. It just decides that it's clearly been here before and done this before, and is happy enough with that explanation, so it doesn't bother to investigate any further. It was tired, after all. The split perception theory suggests that deja vu is when you see something 2 different times and just weren't paying attention properly the first time. Apparently, the more distracted you are, the more likely you are to experience deja vu. If you're distracted by something else, and don't take in all the available information around you, your perception might be split into 2 parts rather than 1. Essentially, your brain recalls the previous perception, even if you didn't. This can slightly confuse your hippocampus, the part of your brain important for memory, processing, and navigation, and lead to that sudden and eerie feeling that you've seen it, been there, or done that before. How about this? The experience actually happened. Yes, you heard right, however unlikely that might sound. Sometimes when you have deja vu, it might not actually be deja vu at all. The feeling of familiarity could be happening because you've actually had the same experience in the past, but simply don't remember it. I'm not convinced personally, but a study did find that deja vu can often be related to things you've seen and done, even if you don't remember it. Spatial awareness also seems to matter when it comes to deja vu. Similar layouts of places can lead to the feeling, even if the 2 places look nothing alike. That's why the Sims experiment from earlier actually worked. Or maybe you just have a dominant eye. Most people have one, and apparently this could also contribute to feelings of deja vu. If the stronger eye sends information to the subconscious before both eyes focus and register the input as a conscious experience, your brain sends a message to tell you that you've seen this before, and you have, but it was just a nanosecond ago. But then again, that wouldn't explain the more versatile forms of deja vu, where it's less about sight and more about experience. A link that potentially ties all this together is consciousness. One of the recent theories aimed at trying to explain consciousness is about the brain's processing of information and our experience of that processing. It talks about a patient with hemispatial neglect resulting from a stroke. Pretty much, the patient lost awareness on one side of her body. Yet, she was able to process details about images with the unaffected side without being aware of actually seeing them. What this tells us is that a lot might be going on around us without us truly being aware of it. Or maybe it's just a glitch in the Matrix. I know it sounds sci-fi and all, but if you entertain the notion that we might be in a simulated universe, the idea that something like deja vu might be a glitch in the Matrix is not hard to visualize. It might be that these strangely beautiful instances are products of a code error. Errors where the computers simply mess up the timeline for some of the players before quickly fixing themselves. Strangely enough, this theory has a remote bias in reality, albeit on the other side of the familiarity spectrum. Patients with a rare variant of Capgras delusions have reported that they feel time has been warped or substituted. Theoretically, a similar warping could also lead to deja vu. But back to reality now. It's hard to deny the numerous different explanations, but the lack of a definitive answer leaves the phenomenon open to stranger theories still, and depending on your point of view, it's hard to discount them completely, however outlandish they might seem. As well as normal deja vu, many claim to also have precognitive deja vu experiences, containing knowledge of something that hasn't happened yet. Things like, I knew what he was going to say before he said it, or I suddenly knew what she was thinking. History is full of people that have reported intuitive hunches, premonitions, and forebodings later verified to be accurate, and much of this is explained away as misinterpretations of mundane effects such as coincidence, selective memory, confabulation, or even fraud. But the question remains, can all cases of apparent foreknowledge be explained in this way? It feels like an eye into the future. Is it possible? Well, maybe it's not so far-fetched. Although this particular explanation is not of the psychic kind, a new perspective on memory is fast gaining traction, and it proposes that memory's adaptive purpose is not so much to allow us to consciously remember our past, but instead serves to help us navigate the future. If you think about it, memory has the potential to help us navigate our futures in many ways. From our use of imagination and ability to be creative, or just by allowing us to know what to do next or how to react in situations. They say practice makes perfect, so maybe memories are just training your brain for the future. Deja vu seems to be strongly associated with memory, so maybe it serves a similar purpose. If it is caused by an unrecalled or buried memory, then is it also possible that an accompanying sense of what will happen in the future could come from that same buried memory? I already mentioned that researchers have tried and succeeded in creating the feeling of deja vu in the lab. Another way to create the sensation is to implant false memories, something that's surprisingly easy. With just a little suggestion, people will remember a specific memory of being lost in the mall as a child and being found by a kind old lady, despite the relatives confirming that that never happened. This form of deja vu would be similar to the feeling when you can't differentiate between a dream versus something that actually happened. Some scientists argue that deja vu is certainly related to false memory, in the sense that it is a memory dissociation kind of effect. It dissociates reality from the memory. You could also briefly expose someone to an object or picture, for example, a place, a painting, so on, and then let them go back and take it in more slowly, creating an actual memory that they may not be able to pin down. Researchers have had a lot of success with this type of induction, showing participants words, names, or faces for a split second, and then inducing the feeling of deja vu by showing people the same thing for a longer amount of time, just moments later. But these are quite artificial, and maybe don't quite match the spontaneous sensation that comes with deja vu in real life. I also think the sensation is more intriguing when it's moments of your own life that you've witnessed before, rather than implanted words or pictures. The bottom line is, it's really difficult to know whether what's being induced in the lab is real deja vu, because we're relying on subjective accounts of a feeling from participants, and everyone will probably experience things differently, or have a different interpretation of what exactly deja vu is. There's also the possibility that participants are simply telling a researcher what they think they want to hear, also known as demand characteristics. We can't rely entirely on the results of these experiments, and maybe the feeling of familiarity isn't just a byproduct of seeing familiar objects. It's a feeling all on its own with no existence in the past. And maybe that's what we should be investigating. Or should we? Some say that we shouldn't investigate deja vu at all. The sense of mystery that is so deeply tied to the concept of deja vu is perhaps why it's so beautiful. I don't know what causes it, but you certainly do. In fact, you've already watched this video before, haven't you? Training your memory is something that we've all worked on in the past. Whether it was learning vocabulary in class or memorizing formulas for your physics test, is something we encounter pretty often. You may notice though that these things tend to slip away over time if you don't continually train them. Personally, it triggers a sense of deja vu once I randomly see something a few years after I learned it. I know the world is in a difficult spot at the moment. It's a lot harder to learn things without knowing the right questions to ask, but Brilliant is here to help you out. Brilliant is a problem-solving site that helps you think more like a scientist. They guide you through problems and topics that are broken down into digestible sections. They can bring you all the way from knowing nothing to having a solid understanding of almost any topic they have to offer. If you answer something incorrectly, it tells you exactly why, something which you usually can't get without direct access to a teacher. If you're interested in anything math, science, or computer science related, Brilliant exists to help you train those skills. If you head to brilliant.org/aperture, you can sign up and start learning today for free. The first 200 of you to do so will also get 20% off a premium subscription, which gives you access to every single course that Brilliant has to offer. Take a look through their stuff. I promise there's something for you. You're supporting yourself and my channel at the same time.
And 5 right opens 40. 2 right 60. Make 2 left, keep in. And left of a crest. And 3 right. 5 left short, into 6 right of a bump. And 5 left, keep in 40, crest, into 6 right, slowing. and 6 left, tightens. So 4 right and 4 left, tightens. And late 4 left, keep in, and 4 right, 70. Slight left of a crest, very long. Tightens 5, and turn 6 right, tightens of a crest, bump. Into left of a crest, 50. 3 left, 40, 4 left, tightens, and 3 right, very long. And right of a crest, pass junction, and 3 left short, and 6 left, don't cut, 40. 1 right short, and 5 left, half long, 30. 1 right sharp, narrows, 50, 5 left, into 6 right. Into 5 left, 30, caution turn, 1 left, sharp, 30, 4 left of a crest, 50. Bump, into 3 left short, 40. Hairpin left, don't cut. 30, 3 right, half long. And crest, 30. Right of a crest. And slight right, 40, 4 left, into 5 right, half long, 50. 3 left short, into right of a crest, and turn, acute hairpin right, into 4 left, into 5 right, cut. And 5 left, tightens, to 6 right, 100. Over finish, and 2 left, tightens, to stop. Okay, that's a 9 minute 23.6.